Okay, today I'm going to show you how to wire up the SaltDogg, what is it, the SHPE2000. It's pretty much the same for all the boxes or any salt spreader for that matter. I've laid out the wiring harness here. So here is where it's going to connect to the battery. I believe it's labeled, power and ground. If not, red's going to go to positive. And I say generally, but you're going to want to check. So, connect wires to battery terminals only. So, yeah, obviously red's going to be positive there. And then this is the theoretical box that goes inside the cab. So we're inside the cab now. And then here is where your power is going to hook up to. This is going to hook in the back of the controller. So that's going to tell the salt spreader how to act. And why I'm not including the box in this install is this is going to be a backup truck. We're relying on kind of an older Ford. It's like a 1990 diesel or something like that. So I'm just doing the wiring so that way if something happens to the other truck, we just take the controller there, the computer aspect of it, and throw the box in there and hook it up, and we'll be rocking and rolling.
And this is just to give you an idea what the spreader looks like. It's the SHPE2000.
Okay, and then here we are at the back of the harness, and these connectors only fit in, one way into the back of the salt spreader. And this brown wire is, I believe it's hot when the controller is switched on, and it'll power up a light. So I'm definitely going to take advantage of that. I'm going to go get a little LED light and mount it on the salt spreader itself, not the detachable spinner assembly. But yeah, so I'm going to run this underneath the truck, and that's that. We'll see how it goes.
And I just took a quick picture there of the battery terminal hookups, and I just had to trim a little bit of the that positive side rubber plastic cover shield, for lack of a better term. I just cut that a little bit so it's sat flush.
I'm just running the power cable along the front of the radiator, and here I'm just leaving a little bit of slack. There's a hole in the firewall there. Actually, it was pre-punched out, as you can see. So I'll probably mess with that and make it a little bit cleaner. But I'm gonna go make sure I got enough length inside and set it where I want it, and then I'll come back out here and strap all this stuff down where I want it. This is where the cable made it to, even as it sits over the air box as before. So I'm gonna wait until I get the controller and see how long that length of cable comes to meet this wire. And since this wire is connected to the battery, if you touch one of these terminals to ground, that's going to be full battery voltage coming at you. So I might go disconnect one of those. We'll see. We're getting close to the season. Or I might just put some electrical tape over it and wire tie it out of the way. That's probably the route I will go, but I don't know. Okay, as you can see, I went the electrical tape route. And then I'm just going to wire tie it out of the way, because what I'm thinking is if my brother's truck breaks down and it's snowing its butt off, we got to hook it up and it's not working, and we're working on 2 hours of sleep in 3 days. I can't guarantee how my mind's going to work, so I'm going to have this thing where hooked up, so you just got to plug the connectors together, and it's going to be pretty gosh darn hard to mess that up. Okay, I'm going to feed this fella through the same hole that I put the power cable through, right through the firewall there. And then I'm going to go down underneath the truck and then follow the frame rail back that away. And I got this this controller box ran through, and this is kind of what we're looking here, this big jumble of mess. That's where it's come through the firewall. And this is all temporary. temporary until we figure out how much length we need. So now I'm gonna run this cable, like I said, down the frame rail and just kind of do everything a little loose with the zip ties. That way I can kind of just thread it and maybe get another foot or two if I need it either way. So that's where we're headed there. I wire tied these and taped them together. So hopefully I can get this down to the frame a little bit easier. I'm gonna try and take it down and go right behind the front wheel well. So this might be the trickiest part. We'll see. Okay, I slid that cable down towards the front fender well as far as I could. I'm gonna throw this thing up on the lift. It looks like I can grab it from underneath and continue from there. Okay, here we are at the front fender well, and you can kind of see where the cables ended up there. So I'm gonna try and get them behind. I'm gonna try not to take off any of these little 8mm fasteners, I believe they are. Let's see if I can kind of sneak it up behind there, and then I'll be right at my frame rail here. And well, this is actually the front control arm. So we'll run along the frame there, head on all the way back, and hope that we have enough cable. Okay, I got the cable behind the wheel well there. It made me take off that little 8mm fastener right up there, and then it just gave me a little wiggle room there. I just didn't feel like taking it off. So okay, I'm gonna lower it back down and feed the rest of this through here. And that's okay. So here we are so far. We got a battery cable going inside the cab, and then we have the end of this cable going inside the cab to connect to the salt spreader controller. And this is what crapped out behind the wheel well. And now we're gonna run this hopefully all the way back. And I'm just running these wires down the frame rail, like I said, just kind of leaving everything a little bit loose. More of a temporary situation. I have the luxury I could come back in next year and you know, fasten it up, and so it'd be a little bit more permanent. But for now, we're just using a couple of zip ties. And here's the wiring harness I'm running. This is the path I'm choosing to take over the rear suspension. This is a little bit trickier. You know, you got to make sure that you're out of the way of the you know, the bump stops here, because they're most likely going to be used, and they're going to be touching these leaf springs. Or are those called the bump stops? I don't know. These are like the final resort. I think those are the bump stops. Those sit on the axle there, but who cares? But anyways, stay away from that stuff, and then just running it up here and over top of the back of this leaf spring, and then we're pretty much home free. Speaking of salt spreaders, check out this little item I built. I didn't build the whole thing, but what happened is my, how about this? Somebody backed into a handicap sign and completely knocked it over, which was mounted in concrete. So it broke everything. So this spreader motor is, I don't know, probably like 30 years old, something like that, off like an old Swenson spreader. And then I had to do a lot of modifications, cutting all into this, and then the other one had an auger system, so I had to make like a stop here, so that'll open and close like that. So, anyways, yeah, you can hook this electric up anyways. It's just a positive and negative. And what I did is I just kind of cut into the factory wiring harness, and then so that way it'll just be a plug and play for the harness that's already on the truck. So we'll see how that works, because the motor, it would have cost a little over $300 to get all those to get all the parts here. So that cost about 2 hours of labor. So it wasn't bad at all. Okay, warning, I'm gonna go off on a mild tangent here. You see this red wire here? That's been there for a while before we bought the truck. That's what you want to look for when you're buying a used vehicle. You know, is somebody messing with the wire? Why is that there? Did something get pinched? It runs over to the other tail light. So I don't know why they would exactly do that. But it just means some hillbilly like me was in here messing around. So just keep your eye out. Folks, we're almost to the completion of this install. And I went and checked on the salt box. The wire connections are on the passenger side, and it looks like I have just, you know, just a little bit of excess wiring there. So there you have it. I think that's it. I think that's all we're gonna do. Okie dokie. Okay, these plugs kept wanting to come out of here. There's not much holding them in. So I dried them off and put a little dielectric grease in there. I'm not sure how long they're going to be up there, but I'm going to put the plugs back in and wrap everything up real tight in an orange electrical tape, so that we'll be able to see it at night. And I'm just going to tuck it up back in there someplace, because who knows how long it'll be up there. I don't know. We'll see.